We're back with Kayla now, our Niagara real estate expert.
In December, we had 397 new listings. In January, we've just about doubled that to 624. And then number of sales, we had 566 in December, and we've actually gone down a bit to 508. So you can see that there's a little bit more out there for buyers to look for and choose from. You can see from January 2020 to January 2021, the biggest takeaway would be this, year over year increase of 27.2%, something the Niagara region has not ever seen before.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and we're back with Kayla, our local expert for the Niagara region and St. Catharines real estate market. And in today's video, she's going to be breaking down for us how we all missed out on an epic deal in Welland. There was a triplex that sold for $265,000, if you can believe it or not. So she's going to break down how we overlooked that opportunity and how, if you were a client of hers, maybe you wouldn't have overlooked that opportunity. But otherwise, she's just going to break down some of the data of what's going on in her local market. I know you guys loved this last time, so smash the like button, hit subscribe, and let's jump into this month's video breakdown of the Niagara region real estate stats.
All right, guys, we're back with Kayla now, our Niagara real estate expert. Hey, Kayla, how's it going?
It's going, Matt. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to have you back on the channel. Coming back for the second month, just going to kind of break down for us what we can expect in Niagara Falls and the surrounding area from a real estate perspective. I guess before we jump into your presentation, any general points or notes that you want to give us for context?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a seller's market. I think, again, everyone is kind of used to hearing that, but there are more listings. So we've seen almost a 50% increase month over month, so that's positive. Still seeing, the bidding wars and multiple offers, but I mean, I think there has been a bit more opportunity to pick up properties with not as much competition. So a bit of a positive trend for buyers and sellers still, because there's, they're still making out like bandits, so that's good for them. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with, January coming to an end and, February going into February. So yeah, it's been a busy but good month.
Awesome. Well, glad to hear it. And I know you've got a presentation put together for us based upon all of January's data. So I'm excited to kind of jump into it, because I know across the province of Ontario, just inventory was so low, at December, and like a lot of places still in January. So really excited to see what you've got going on in Niagara. Yeah,
absolutely. Let me share my screen here. So this is year over year. So as you can see, we are still, we have less listings than we did 2020, which was pre-COVID. So we're still, kind of in the thick of it, especially in the Niagara region. We are the only area that's still in gray. So anyway, so there's that. And then number of sales. So as you can see, there was, a decrease here and an increase in the number of sales. So that would indicate, again, we're in more of a seller's market than we previously were in 2020. And then there was a 27% increase just about in price. And like the last video, like no area in the Niagara region is being left behind. All of these areas have seen, massive increases in price. And then average days on market has dropped from 57 to 29. The only thing I would say is that's average. The median is actually 6.
Okay.
Yeah, so this doesn't really paint, the accurate picture, but it seems like the sweet spot for January was 6 days on market, and that would be indicative of a lot of people holding offers for those 6 days. Some are a bit longer and some aren't holding offers, but that is still the trend, it seems, in this area, is that you would be seeing most listings that are holding offers.
Okay.
So that's that. And then for month over month, so December to January, I think that this also paints a pretty good picture of what I was saying. So in December, we had 397 new listings. In January, we've just about doubled that to 624. And then number of sales, we had 566 in December, and we've actually gone down a bit to 508. So you can see that there's a little bit more out there for buyers to look for and choose from. With that said, I would say more buyers are coming, into the market and starting to look because they were waiting for this. So the competition is definitely still there. And then the benchmark price, there was an increase. It was about 4% from 532.4 to 553.2. And then again, average days on market, it's saying 29, median is 6. That includes, every house that has sat that's maybe listed too high or has a lot wrong with it. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at those numbers as well. This is just a bit of the data displayed in a different way, but you can see from January 2020 to January 2021, we had an 11% increase in number of sales. Mm-hmm. And then as far as the listings go, we had a decrease of 23.5%. So again, still a seller's market, sellers are still in a better position they were in 2020. And then I guess the biggest takeaway would be this, year over year increase of 27.2%, something the Niagara region has not ever seen before. And then the average days on market decreased in a big way. And again, with the caveat of that being the average. But so it paints a pretty good picture for the Niagara region as far as, the trajectory that we're on. And, people are starting to see the value of the region. I still think, some areas are undervalued for sure, but this is just good news for the Niagara region as a whole. And then as far as month over month, so again, there was a 10% decrease in sales, whereas there was a 57.2% increase in listings, and then a 4% month over month increase in sale price. So definitely looks a lot different than it did last time we spoke, but still in that seller's market, and the year over year picture is quite positive for anyone that owns real estate in the Niagara region.
And so for that big increase in new inventory of people listing properties, any thoughts or speculations on maybe what's driving that? Do you think is it people being attracted to the higher price points now and just wanting to test the market?
I definitely don't think that's hurting. I think people are seeing, houses in their neighborhood or on their street that are selling for a lot more than they ever thought that they would get for it. I also think that we're coming out of lockdown. People are seeing, kind of the end of the second lockdown in sight. Again, we kind of got gray listed, if you will, but I think there's a bit more of a positive feeling surrounding that as well. So I think it's just a combination of things. And I mean, we always saw a slowdown in December and things start to pick up in January, not usually in this capacity, but I think it's just a combination of all of those things that are causing, this much of an increase in the listings.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. So I did do this again from Broker Bay. I did get quite a positive response. People love to see that there were, 12,000 showings in the month of January. So this is actually January 1st to January 31st. So again, with the caveat that this is only for Broker Bay, but it still paints a pretty clear picture. So there were, the new listings in Broker Bay were 645, up 38 month over month, 24%, down 24% year over year. Sold 445, down 7% month over month, but up 37% year over year. This, I think, is the big take home. 12,000 showings on 645 houses, obviously give or take what was already there, up 48% month over month. That has a lot to do with the increase in listings, but 131% year over year, which would be indicative that there are more people looking for houses than there were in January of 2020, because there was more listings then and less showings. The other thing that I will say is Broker Bay has become more and more popular, so that could also play into it, but it definitely does show that there are a lot of people in the market. And then offers, so 1267 on, this many houses. So you're on average looking at about 9 offers per house. Of course, some have way more and some don't, but just something to consider. We are still very much so getting multiple offers on listings. And then your average price, $649,574. Again, that's just in Broker Bay. So the one thing I will say, just as like a, lesson learned. So I went through a property in Niagara Falls. It was a semi-detached, zoned that it could be a 2-unit property. It was dated. It needed quite a bit of work. It was listed at 309 and there were 76 showings, or sorry, 76 offers.
Wow.
Yes, and it sold for a whopping 505. So congrats to that seller for sure. But yeah, so that's just one of the instances where this can get a little skewed as far as how many offers per property, but still astounding results for that house specifically. All right. Any questions about that, Matt?
No, I really appreciate like just commenting on the showings. Obviously, like it would be fascinating to know, you know, the difference in usage from brokers or realtors year over year. But even just looking at the month over month, obviously there hasn't been that massive of a increase in like probably adoption of this platform. So like it's fascinating to see that we're getting this many showings at this stage in the real estate season, right? Because like I don't know comparatively, but I'm assuming probably April, May are often some of the peak times for showings as well as sales in your region. So any thoughts just in general on like, do you think, is this demand from the future coming early, or do you think this was just existing demand that we're seeing occur right now?
I think it's a lot of leftover people from, you know, December, November when it was very tough. A lot of even my buyers, you know, you're just setting your expectation to not necessarily get the first house you put an offer in on. So I think a lot of people are, for one, you know, going to see more houses because they're aware that it may not work out the first time because of the multiple offer situation. And also, I think you have a lot of investors in the area. I mean, just looking at the Vine would be a specific example of that. It was a great house for people looking to burr, minus what it sold for. But I think also people are getting in a bit early. So if you have people that were planning on selling, well, they want to, you know, they want to bank on this market. They don't want to wait till, you know, later on when they're not sure how much their house is going to sell for. Right now, they can be fairly certain based off, you know, the demand and comparables that they're going to get at least top dollar for their house for what they want. And then that's pushing them into the market as well. So I think that's also what drove, you know, the increase in listings.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate that context.
So I figured January, first month of the year, I was just going to line out some things happening in the Niagara region that, you know, isn't, you know, in the news as far as like what you would see on like the internet and stuff. But so Welland, I mean, kind of in a hot spot recently. So they broke their own record again for the 3rd year for new home development and residential growth. So that basically says that Welland is continuing to grow faster than it was in the last 2 years. And even if you just took a drive to Welland, you would see like there's new homes being built everywhere. Even in like your C neighborhoods, you're seeing new developments surrounding them, which is really helping to boost the value of those areas. And then residential growth just in general, more people are moving to Welland. Again, as you have like a bit of an exodus out of major cities, you're seeing them come into these smaller cities, but that's just, you know, really great for Welland. And as that new development happens and residential growth happens, you're going to see them start to pour more money into, you know, maybe the downtown core, which in Welland could use a bit of help. So that's good news for Welland. And then the Southwestern Integrated Fiber Technology. So SWIFT announced 21 million broadband expansion plan for the Niagara region. All this says is that things are happening. People, like before these, you know, types of companies dump this sort of money into an area, they do a lot of research. So that's really good news as well. And then Niagara Falls is receiving an $800,000 in federal funding for a tourism transportation study. So what that does is basically sets up the landscape for them to figure out how to allow people to easily travel from one hotspot to another. And this is just on the, you know, the study. This isn't even what they're going to put into it once they figure out what works best. And then the Brock University and the Hamilton Oshawa Port Authority partner to strengthen the Niagara economy. So this is going to bring like co-ops and jobs to the area, and these are well-paying jobs, and they're going to start looking out this way for opportunities. And then the one that I find the most interesting is the provincial government investing $9.6 million in infrastructure in the Niagara region, including the new hospital in Niagara Falls. So there is a new hospital in Niagara Falls that's going to be happening in the south area of Niagara Falls. It's supposed to be coming up in 2022. They're including it in their budget for 2022. So that's a big deal. That brings a lot of high-paying jobs to the area, as well as need for, you know, housing, rentals, et cetera, for the people that will be working there. And this is on top of what I spoke to last time, was the funding from the government for infrastructure for the games. This is in addition to that. So all of this is in addition to those things. So this just paints a pretty bright picture for Niagara's future if, you know, all of these big things are happening. And one of the questions I get most often from my investors is like, tell me about the Niagara region, tell me about the economy, the jobs and whatnot. Here is a good, you know, snapshot look of what's happening.
Yeah, really appreciate that perspective. So this, like, I don't actually know the Niagara region too well. So they're going to keep whatever existing hospitals and they're just building a whole new facility, or will this be replacing an existing one?
So there's a small hospital in the Niagara region. I think they will still keep it for healthcare as far as I've read, but not functioning in the same capacity, and then move a lot of that to this new hospital. They actually just did this in St. Catharines. So they knocked down the old hospital and rebuilt a very nice big one. So I think that's just kind of the trend they're seeing. You know, the infrastructure isn't supporting the amount of people that are here now. So we need to invest money to, you know, bring better healthcare to the Niagara region. Previously, a lot of people would travel to Hamilton for their healthcare because that's obviously Hamilton's known for healthcare. But they're trying to compete with that and bringing these nice new hospitals to the region.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate the context, Kayla.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so a recent deal in the Niagara region. This is a 3-unit property that sold for $265,000. So not in great shape, not in a great area, under rented. So I mean, $700 a month for the front 3-bed, $500 for the rear 1-bed, and $550 for the 1-bed in the basement. However, you're still cash flowing. Even under rented at that capacity, there's definite opportunity to turn this around as the tenants start to move out. And again, I actually tried to go through it. They had already a bunch of 2 registered offers, and then there was no more showings due to the tenants. So this really does speak to, if you're an investor, what your level of risk is when you're buying a property. It would have been sight unseen. Obviously, it's in a C neighborhood in Welland. It's on Crowland, but the interesting thing about Welland is there's pockets even in the not so great areas, like some, you know, areas that are really great, some that aren't, streets that are good, and the next street isn't. But for 265, this is a risk that I'm willing to take.
Yeah, it seems like as long as it, we talk to our team these days, that's our price. Is it a house? It is a house? Okay.
Literally.
Probably
is it standing?
So would you mind, obviously you haven't seen the units and stuff.
Yep.
I think we can probably guess that they're relatively small, dated units.
Yeah.
But if they were fixed up in smaller units, what would you kind of expect for market rents in that area for a 1-bedroom?
So fully renovated, nice. Again, yes, they are definitely smaller just based off the square footage of the house. But for the 3-bed, I would say, being very conservative, 1,300. And then the 1-bed 8, the basement 1-bed 8 as well. And that's again being quite conservative if it was fully renovated and the house was, you know, quite nice. So a lot of opportunity for upside, and also on the BRRRR side of things, obviously this is a longer game because you have tenants in there, you can't get in there right away. But there is opportunity to turn these units over as they move out, renovate them, and this turns into a pretty decent, a perfect BRRRR, I would assume, for sure, if you did all of them. So yeah, I just thought this was interesting. It's still pending. It just it sold in January, and it's a legal 3-unit property.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. I literally didn't think something like that would exist on the MLS in this day.
Me neither, but it's every so often they come up, and again, only up for 3 days, and that 3 days is kind of even skewed because you couldn't get into it after the first day. But still, it's just, again, speaks to some investors have a higher risk tolerance. But if you did, I would say this would be a great property.
Yeah, really appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then this isn't a property, obviously, but what this is, so in Broker Bay, there's an exclusive network. Your realtor has access to it. All of these houses that are listed, and again, you can see it's like a varying price across the board, but these aren't listed on MLS. These are properties that we have access to. And again, some of them, they're not showing yet. Some of them are just coming soon. But a lot of the times there's properties that people will put on here that their sellers are willing to let people through prior to listing and allowing preemptive offers. So as an example, this one for $349 right here, this is downtown Thorold. It's on the main street in Thorold. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, and they are allowing people through early. It does need a lot of work. But still, you're looking at a 3-bed, 2-bath home where you could get in the realm of $350, which is pretty unheard of, especially when you're on the main street in downtown Thorold. And again, downtown Thorold is 2 streets, but it's still a nice area. So it's just something to have a conversation with your realtor about. It's not, it's not the unicorn. There's not always something on here, but I've done 3 deals in the last 3 months off of here and gotten them for a lot less than what they would have sold for on MLS.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate that perspective. And I'm kind of curious what the $5 million on the river is.
It's very, very nice. I looked at it the other day.
Nice.
So that one's very nice. But you can see there are still lower priced ones on here. And those ones, I think, and I got one in Hamilton as well. And it just depends on the seller situation. Like the one of the ones I did in Hamilton, both of the owners were nurses, so they just didn't want a lot of people through the house, and were willing, to take a little bit less because of that.
Yeah.
So it's just obviously specific situations, but I just wanted to, let everyone know that does exist, because it is a great resource for you and your realtor, or, myself and my clients, if, to check every day and just see what comes up on there.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot of realtors mentioning it, so appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing I wanted to share, this is very hand-drawn.
Cool.
Yeah.
People would love this though, yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share, I give this to all my clients. I have one for Welland, St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, and then I kind of try to piece together Fort Erie, Port Colborne, and Thorold, just because they're so small. But I would say if you're investing in an area that you're not, familiar with, ask your realtor to do this for you. It's not going to be perfect. This isn't perfect by any means, but it'll give you a general idea of what type of area you're looking at when a house comes up. And then based off of what your portfolio looks like, and again, what your risk tolerance is, you can base off of, you can exclude some areas or include some areas, whatever it is. But you'll be able to make a more informed decision even when you're just looking at properties by, just referencing this map very quickly.
Yeah, appreciate that. Which neighborhood was the 265 in?
It is in Crowland, so it's right in here.
Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry, right down there. So yeah, it's like a C+ to C area, but again, right beside it is the B area, and they have built a bunch of new houses there. So, and is very close to downtown, which again, like I said, as more and more people move to Welland, the city of Welland and, the province of Ontario will be forced to spend more money downtown Welland. They do have to make it attractive for the people that are living there, or else they will leave. So I think that there is definite opportunity in that area, and it's very odd in Welland, street by street is very different. Again, you could have one street that's very nice in those areas, and then the next street isn't so much. So I think that presents a kind of a unique opportunity, rather than when you have a neighborhood that's all, kind of in that C, letter range. Any questions about that, Matt?
No, I appreciate it. I love the map. I know that the audience is definitely going to appreciate the map at home too. They always love these visual representations. Yeah,
and again, like I said, this was handmade on paint, but it was the only way that I could work it so that I could include the areas that I wanted to include. And then, like I said, I have it for, all of the bigger cities that I work in. And I grew up in Hamilton, so if anyone's looking for this of Hamilton, I'm happy to provide that as well. very familiar with both, but and again, I've sent this to every single of my investors, and I do think they value it as a tool because it just makes them more informed of a region that they're investing in, and most of them don't live here, so it's just helpful for them.
And then is this it for the presentation?
Yeah, that's it. It was same amount of slides as last time, just a bit shorter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I know that you had a lot of outreach from the last video, so ended up having actually a few viewers reach out, and you were able to do a couple deals with them, and they got some quick wins.
Yeah, so picked up legal duplex, wasn't holding offers. Again, a little bit of risk. It was sight unseen, but it worked out to be a great deal. There's opportunities to finish the basement, side door to the basement. So yeah, we did well with that one, and then I'm actually, after the video, headed to a home inspection on the second one. So, and we managed to get a home inspection, which is pretty rare these days.
Markets,
so yeah. So happy about that. It's a 100-year-old house, but looks great. Legal duplex again in a good area. So yeah, we've managed to, again, and these were both on market. It's just acting quick when you see them.
Yeah, and so for anyone that maybe watched last video and they thought about reaching out, but they were maybe a little nervous or intimidated, all they need to do is go in the video description down below, grab your contact information, and you're happy to jump on a call or respond to an email, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like, happy to chat whichever way, they feel comfortable reaching out. Like I said, I set up a bunch of calls with the people that reached out last time and working with them, and it's working out very well.
Awesome. Well, again, really appreciate you taking the time just to share your expertise and your experience of what you're seeing going on in the Niagara region. Before we wrap up here, any other last minute thoughts, tips, or suggestions for anyone going into, I guess we're coming up onto the March real estate market now? I
think it's just set your expectations. Know the market is a bit tough right now, especially if you're on the buy side, but especially in investing, be patient. Don't throw everything at one deal, because then make sure your numbers work and only put that offer in where the numbers work, but also always put that offer in.
Yeah, it's so important that you submit that offer. It's something that, again, I don't think many people are doing verbal offers in this market because it's too hot, but even in cooler markets, I think it's a mistake to often only make a verbal offer because it's just too easy for people not to take you seriously. And to me, submitting that offer is like buying a lottery ticket, right? There's no way you're going to win unless you've got a ticket. And so unless you submit that offer, there's no chance of you ever getting the deal.
Exactly. And even I tell my investors, even in multiple offers, price isn't number one for everyone. I mean, for a lot of people it is, but some people, the closing date means a lot. For some people, it's just telling them that they can leave anything they don't want behind. I've gotten a deal off of that. We were, $10,000 less, but they just didn't want the hassle. So it's just being creative with your offer, but also just, sticking to it. Don't get discouraged. I understand, obviously losing deals is not fun, but eventually you do get one. And I mean, it always works out eventually. And it's just a matter of just grinding and keep looking, and just use creative strategies with your realtor when you're putting in those offers, and just always put in the offer.
Yeah, love it. Awesome. Well, again, all of Kayla's information's in the video description down below, guys. Go over and grab it, and really appreciate it. And we'll see you next month as we break down more stats on the Niagara real estate market.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Kayla. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again to Kayla for taking the time to shoot this video. If you guys got value from this video, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're new to my channel, and make sure you jump over and get in contact with Kayla if you're interested in investing in the Niagara St. Catharines region. Again, I cannot believe that a triplex actually sold on market in Welland for $265,000. That seems like a steal of a deal. I'm definitely interested in the Welland region. In fact, if you guys haven't been paying attention, my wholesale team's moving in this region in a big way because we see a lot of long-term potential. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your opinions on the Niagara market. Jump in the comment section down below. And if you want to get in contact with Kayla, all her contact information is in the video description down below. Really encourage you guys reach out. But otherwise, let us know, how is your investing going in the Niagara region? Let us know in the comment section. We'll see you in the next video.